The Caribbean Court of Justice today ruled that Court of Appeal Justice Samuel Awich is to be considered for investigation during his tenure as Supreme Court Justice. Justice Awich was appointed to the Court of Appeal on April 24, 2012, but his elevation was met with many objections from the Bar Association as well from the People's United Party. On July 2012, the Judicial and Legal Services Commission received a letter containing complaints relating to Awich's tenure as Supreme Court Justice. In the letter, it was requested that the Commission consider and refer the question of whether Awich should be removed from office as Justice of Appeal for inability and/or misbehavior to the Belize Advisory Council for investigation.
The Judicial and Legal Services Commission dismissed the complaint on the basis that he had already been appointed to the Court of Appeal and therefore they cannot review his performance when he was in the Supreme Court. The clients felt that that was wrong and they took it to court. Mr. Justice Abel said that any conduct of a judge prior to his appointment is relevant, and the Court of Appeal disagreed, and so it was taken to the CCJ. The CCJ has now ruled that all prior conduct is relevant and that the Judicial and Legal Services Commission must consider the complaint and to see whether or not a prima facie case has been made out. If there is sufficient evidence of misbehavior or inability to perform, the matter will be sent to the Belize Advisory Council, which shall sit as a tribunal and actually make findings as to whether or not Justice Awich should be removed.
The complaint was premised on allegation of lack of judicial acumen by Awich and his lack of timeliness in delivering judgment during his tenure as Supreme Court Justice. The matter was successfully challenged in the Supreme Court, but the Commission successfully appealed the matter.
The Court of Appeal, in my view, made a number of fundamental errors, and I say that with respect. First of all, they said that because he had been appointed to the Court of Appeal, what happened in the Supreme Court could not be inquired into, which in effect means that if you are promoted, it wipes the slate clean and nobody can look back. And the court has come down very forcefully and said that that was just plainly wrong. Now, the second point is to interpret what Section 102 of the Constitution means with respect to inability to perform and misbehavior. In the case of inability, it has to do with the ability or the capacity of a judge to perform as a judge. The court has cited one example, that if you are frequently late in writing your judgments, if your judgments are frequently appealed and overturned by an appellate court, there may be something wrong with your ability to perform your function. They also discussed the question of misbehavior. What does misbehavior mean? And misbehavior means corruption, criminal activity, any type of behavior which causes people to lose confidence in the ability of a particular judge to perform his functions.
In today's ruling, the judgment of the Court of Appeal was set aside. The complaint goes back to the Judicial and Legal Services Commission to be properly considered as to whether it should be referred to the Belize Advisory Council. The CCJ also ordered that the complaint will be updated to look at Justice Awich's performance since 2012.
This judgment simply confirms that there is a process and a procedure in the Constitution that makes all judges, regardless of whether you're in the magistracy, all the way up to the CCJ, that you're subject to review, that your performance is subject to review, that you must be accountable, that you must perform in such a way that public confidence is enjoyed and that public confidence is maintained in the way in which you conduct yourself and the way in which you deliver your judgments. Their concern was that they had a lot of cases in the courts and he was a judge, and there is something in their view wrong with the way in which he was performing, and the only way that the Constitution provides for that to be dealt with is by making a complaint. And so they took their constitutional right and made their complaint, and what the CCJ has said, that there is something that needs to be considered by the Judicial and Legal Services Commission. So I don't believe, quite frankly, that this was a personal matter. I think there is sufficient evidence there for an inquiry to take place.
Reporting for News 5, Hipolito, Novelo.